Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's Lunch and Learn hosted by Wavelogix. I'm Suzanne Florick, and I'll be your host. Thanks for taking time out of your day to join us. Today, we're talking about something that's on the minds of many public works and municipal teams: how to do more with less. Municipalities across the country are under pressure to open streets quickly, safely, and with limited staff resources. And that's where innovation really can make a difference. I'm thrilled to introduce our featured guest, Brad Trineri, Senior Engineering Technician with the City of Fort Wayne, Indiana. Brad has nearly 20 years of experience in civil engineering and construction and quality control, overseeing infrastructure projects that directly impact the daily lives of residents. He's a Purdue graduate in architectural engineering, a licensed general contractor, and he holds multiple certifications, including ACI concrete field and strength testing, MS4 compliance, and even I've been talking to him briefly about his FAA remote pilot credentials for drones. Brad and his team face the real-world challenge that so many municipalities share: limited staff and tight timelines. By incorporating the Rebel Concrete Strength Sensing System, Fort Wayne has been able to streamline their testing operations and reduce reliance on cylinders, cut costs, and most importantly, open roads to traffic faster for the community. A few housekeeping notes before we begin. Today's session is being recorded. We'll send you the recording and any slides afterwards. If you have any questions during the webinar, please pop them into the Q&A box and we'll get to as many as we can at the end. And if you run into technical issues, drop a note in the chat. Our team is standing by to help. All right, with that, let's get started. Please join me in welcoming Brad Trineri along with Wavelogix CEO Joe Turek for today's discussion on smart concrete solutions for municipalities. Joe, all yours.
All right. Thank you, Suzanne. Thank you, Brad. Great to have you here. Let's start right out. Brad, give our audience a little background on what your role is at Fort Wayne and what you do every day,
Yeah,
especially how it relates to concrete and concrete testing.
right. Yeah. So I help oversee a team of 9 inspectors. We oversee public infrastructure and private infrastructure projects that are going to be released over to the city once the infrastructure is done. And I assist in training new individuals and reviewing ASTMs, ASHTOs, MUTCDs, and NDOT and project specifications. I'm also in charge of university outreach and special projects such as looking into the Rebel sensors.
Yeah, that's great. So when it comes to concrete, you are the guy in charge of all that, right?
Um, I am assistant to another individual, but yes, I
Yeah.
do a lot with it. So
Totally. And from a quality perspective, now, as you know, Wavelogix is all about strength and strength of concrete. What have you been prior to Rebel? What have you been doing for strength?
so
Finding out what the strength is.
yeah, so a lot of what we do a lot of beam testing for flexural strength, and we also do cylinder testing for compressive strength. And um, throughout the years, the city has relied a lot on the flexural strength, the beam tests,
Okay.
and we're kind of behind on times on that, but they feel that it was very good at the time and given very good results.
Mhm.
But as we move into the future, we've noticed that it's also kept away some like female inspectors from maybe joining because it's very labor intensive and those beams are heavy. So
Yeah, hard to move around for sure.
yeah.
Um, and you're responsible, the city and your team is responsible for doing all the QA work on the concrete that you pour, regardless if you have a contractor involved with pouring the concrete.
Yes.
Yeah. So those you keep those 9 inspectors hopping, I'm sure you
Oh
do.
yeah. We could always use more.
Now, do you pour beams on every project that you have for concrete, or is there some things that you're not testing strength on?
No, every day, if there's concrete being poured on any of these projects, we're testing it.
Okay. So that's a lot of beams you're producing. About how many beams a day or a week are you building?
Um, it's, I know in a year's time, we make about 1,000
Okay.
beams. So
Wow.
it's hard to say in a week, but
Yeah, right. But
yeah,
over the year, that's a really good number.
yeah,
So that's great. So you've recently had an opportunity to start to test the Rebel sensor. I know you've put it on several projects.
yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about what, kind of caught your attention for the Rebel sensor to begin with, and then how that's been working so far?
Yeah. So basically, we've been looking for different technology. We've we first saw the ones that go off a maturity curve and just temperature, and we didn't like all the labor that was needed ahead of time to make all these different maturity curves based on the number of bags of cement, the different additives. It just didn't seem like it was going to work out well for us. So um, we've been to a few different seminars and whatnot, and heard Luna Lu speak on these, and it just really caught our eye. We like the fact that it's actually physically testing something.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, that's as you kind of highlight it, I'll take a minute just again to explain our technology, how it's different from maturity, if you don't mind. Maturity, as you mentioned, really just measures the temperature of hydration. And you set up a curve that you kind of calibrate for every different type of mix, um, a time temperature, whether it's rising or falling in the temperature of that concrete, against what a cylinder break might be over that same period of time. And then maturity just measures that temperature and time, and then goes back to the chart to see what that strength is. It's usually only good for early strength, and certainly not good for like final certification strength that you get to. The Rebel sensor is a little bit different. We use a wave generating technology that looks at the back pressure of the wave as it bounces into the concrete as it's curing. And we look for its lowest point of resistance, and that is representative of the the modulus of the material, which we can then calculate flexural strength or compressive strength. And so our sensor is not dependent on temperature. So if you have environments outside that could affect the temperature, like a really hot day or a really cold day, our sensor isn't affected by that. You don't have to calibrate it. It's good for virtually any type of mix design or any type of supplier of your ready mix. So it becomes pretty versatile. And I think you've experienced some of that so far. Would you agree with that, Brad?
yes, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Now, how do you use strength in your QA? Do you do things at early strength and do things at late strength? What's the whole strength curve? How does that relate to the municipality?
Right. For us, we're really just looking for a specific number, and when it hits that number, then we're letting the contractor and the public know that this can be driven on.
Okay.
So we do a lot of streets and some bridges. So
Okay. So obviously the our sensor gives you real-time data so that you
yeah,
can see what's happening and you know that strength in real time. Where breaks, you have to actually physically at some point break them to determine
right.
it. And if you haven't hit your strength, then you got to break another one, wait a little bit longer, break another one. And it can be frustrating, right?
Exactly. And
Yeah.
we're not making unlimited amounts of samples. We're just making basically two samples or what have you, and you're kind of bound to those. So if something happens, let's say somebody gets on this concrete a little early
Mhm.
or are needing to get on it early,
Mhm.
and you don't want to just, I guess, waste a sample, and then you've only got one or two left, and
Yeah.
this, you can look at it in real time, like you said.
Yeah, yeah, and boy, if you broke all your cylinder brakes or your beam brakes, and you still didn't hit strength, then you're going to have to go to a core sample, right? It would be your only other option, and
Yeah,
it gets pretty expensive, I'm sure.
yeah, and we have it written in our spec, or we can go by time. So
Uh-huh.
you would have those options, though. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. And now, types of projects that you do around the city, what do you encompass? What do you pour in concrete in Fort Wayne?
Right. We go anything from a sidewalk to bridge foundations and bridge decks and streets.
Okay. Yeah, so that's it. And I remember, if we talked about the impact on the community when we were talking to your director, um,
Yeah,
or even your project manager, he said, the one of the problems in the city is that everybody has my phone number, and when they can't get on their street because they can't get in their driveway, they're calling me up in the middle of the night saying, "What's
exactly.
going
Yeah.
on?" Right? I mean,
Yeah.
uh, we don't experience that in some of the bigger projects because nobody knows who you are. But that's right. I mean, I was thinking back to the city I live in, and I know all the people in the city
Yeah.
that
I
are doing
mean,
that.
you really have to have some empathy because like we'll be out there, on the site the most of anyone other than the contractor. And
Mhm.
you'll see family come out of a house and they got to park their car at the end of the street and
Yeah.
he's carrying like a 1 or 2 year old infant with a diaper
Oh,
bag and leading his 2 or 3 kids with their book bags down there trying to get them to and from school or bringing the groceries back or
yeah.
whatnot. It really affects people, and if we can make that better somehow, that's what we're after.
Yeah, that's nice. So in real time, as soon as you hit the strength that you can release the traffic on, you can get things going. I think you told me a statistic from what you've seen with the real-time data, you're actually to been able to improve, or you believe you can improve that opening time by how long?
Yeah, so typically, we were always just kind of waiting 7 days before we would try anything with the brakes, unless if we were doing additives or extra bags of cement.
Okay.
But now, these sensors have opened our eyes, and you know, things are good in like 3 to 5 days. I mean,
Yeah,
you're not
wow.
having to wait the 7 days. I mean,
That's great. Well, being a homeowner, I really appreciate, anything that can speed up getting in and out. We were working on one project in Chicago as an example, and they put notices out to move your cars and that, and someone didn't get the notice, and they came out the door and found out that they had just poured concrete, and his car was still in the garage, and he's like, I got to get to my daughter's wedding. This
exactly.
is like I can't get out of here. Now what do I do? I mean, it was
Yeah,
just like,
we've had
oops.
that same situation before too.
Yeah, so that's really kind of cool. Well, that's pretty neat. It's how about from a labor savings? You've got 9 guys out in the field. I'm sure the time it takes to pour a beam and to do that, does the sensor save your operators, your inspectors time to deploy? How does the deployment go on? Let's maybe
Yeah,
get it that way.
I think it's super easy and very straightforward. And the support from you guys and getting it all figured out has been great. But yeah, I mean, so you don't have to go back to the job site the next day to pick anything up. That's really the biggest thing, the drive time and hauling them back around town through traffic, and you can spend that time doing other things. And
Yeah.
that's the biggest impact that we have seen.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, we hear that a lot. And for those in the audience that aren't familiar with doing cylinder breaks or beam breaks, or actually making cylinders and beams, typically they're poured right out of the truck. When the truck is pouring the concrete, someone has to form that beam in a mold, right? And then they sit on the side of the road to cure until they harden enough that you can actually bring them back to your lab where you're going to be doing a beam break. Did I describe that properly?
Correct. Yes.
Right. Okay. So you have to have someone that's out there on the site right away, getting ready to be there, waste the time or take the time as the truck is getting set up and getting poured. So there's time involved in being on that site. And then, like you said, people have to go back and pick up those breaks. And then when you're doing the breaks, someone has to be in the lab doing the breaks and doing the hard work and recording the data and then keeping everything, coordinated. Like I've got all these beams sitting in here. Which one was which on what project and what's the day? I mean, that those are the things that we typically hear from, human nature. It just can get when you get these beams all over the place, that's a lot. And I think you
Oh,
said you probably do about 1,000 beams a year.
correct.
Yeah. So that's a lot. Now, in comparison, with the Rebel sensor, you can basically just drop the sensor on the ground, tie it off, and you can get there before the pour was even there if you wanted to plug in the sensor and plug in the data logger, excuse me, and the sensor into the data logger, and you could be on your way. We detect the pour of concrete over that sensor automatically, and then the data is all sent right up into the cloud, and you could start seeing it on your cell phone. You never really have to go back to look at it. You can just decide when you've hit strength, okay, boys, go in there and open the road, cut the cables, and pick up the equipment, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very, very awesome compared to what we were doing.
Yeah, so that's kind of fun. So I mean, we're happy to kind of see and we appreciate the work that you're doing with testing the sensor and kind of leading the charge. You're our number one municipality in the country that's been working with the sensors and kind of driving the technology. Of course, you know that it was developed and invented by Dr. Luna Lu out of Purdue University. Happens to be your alma mater, right?
Correct.
And and it was also spearheaded by INDOT. Indiana has put a lot of time and energy in working with our sensors around the whole state. So we're kind of excited to start to see the municipalities starting to use it and adopt it as well. That's kind of cool. So thank you for that. Um, so, on a broader perspective and looking forward, and being a leader in your state for municipalities, what would you offer to the other cities and the other, your peers who are doing the same thing in their cities? Would you recommend this so far? And how do you see it being integrated? What advice can you offer the rest of the teams?
Yeah, I think they should look at the big picture and try to look at it open-mindedly. A lot of people just look at that upfront cost that, kind of can steer some people away. But and then you have other people that just aren't ready for change. But you know, you got to look at like, okay, this might affect me or my team or my budget, but how's it going to impact all the people that possibly use these streets? Can
Mhm.
it get them in there sooner? Can it help businesses not lose out on so much revenue or foot traffic?
Mhm.
It is very intimidating, but you just have to, kind of look at it as, we can't always do things the way we've always done them. Technology gets better. Everything we do, has gotten better over the years. One of the things I thought maybe that didn't improve over the years was the mouse trap. You look at that didn't really improve, but this other stuff that's just amazing. I mean, how far we've come, and you just have to embrace it because the only thing that's constant is change. That's what my
Yeah.
director always tells us. So.
Yeah, that's right. Uh, so that's cool. Up on the screen, I just kind of show a little bit of what you would see on your phone or on your dashboard. You would see a strength curve that would be produced, strength over time in real time. You could set up test points where you get noticed if you wanted to get certain strength. You can get a text, and you don't have to be sitting there watching the screen everywhere you go. We also add in a thermocouple inside the sensor and a thermocouple inside the data logger. The data logger, of course, is outside the structure. So you get both environmental temperature and the temperature inside the structure. Uh, One of the enhancements that are coming out, Brad, this quarter, um, we are going to start to um, also record because we have a GPS chip in our data logger that will actually locate where the sensor is. We'll be able to tie into the weather service and we'll record not only the temperature, but we're going to record the wind speed, UV index, what type of day, was it a sunny, cloudy, or rainy day? Uh, and then we're going to calculate, we'll also, I think humidity is another thing in there. And with that information, we'll be able to calculate the rate of evaporation. And we know that in a lot of projects, evaporation rate is really important in case you need to cover your structure to keep it from keeping the moisture in. You don't want to be in a situation where you've drawn off too much moisture and then that would affect the strength and durability. So we think that that would be kind of a really neat enhancement. We hope that helps the users then get more data than they normally do. The more things we can add to make your life easier, is what we try and do. We've done some enhancements for feedback from like yourself and others. Uh, we've added on a battery pack extender to the unit so that it will you could leave it out in the field for an extended period of time without having to go back and recharge it. And so a lot of those good things have come from your input. You also came up with a really cool little box to hold the
Right.
unit in. Yeah. Uh, we have kind of stolen that idea to make that, but can you
Yeah.
describe that box a little bit? That was kind of
I've
cool.
got one.
And
Yeah, I've got one sitting here. If you
oh yeah,
if
yeah,
you
show it off. Yeah, show it off. And tell us what
so
you did and why you need that.
yeah, so I'll tell you a little bit before I hold it up here. But yeah, so we were worried about, okay, you've got this data collector and they're kind of expensive, and we wanted to protect it as best as we could, and then to keep it from getting ran over by the contractor or stepped on, or even maybe somebody didn't know what it was and wanted to try to maybe take it off site or whatever. But we came up with this little like case here.
A little ammo box.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not really, but and then we have like a lock we can put on it or whatnot. But this keeps the dust, the dirt, concrete splashing up on your data collector. We put a little hole in the end of it here with a rubber grommet, and
You can put the cable through for
yeah,
that.
put the cable
And
through.
yeah, and then I think you had a lock and you can actually tie it
Yeah,
to a post or a tree or something too,
yeah. And then
right?
we came up with like a little padlock and just this cable, this aircraft cable, and you can wrap it around a tree. You can go around like a signpost, and if there's nothing there, you can even just throw the one end of the cable down in the concrete and come out the side and attach the box to that. So
Oh, that's kind of cool idea. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
But what I love is when you partner and innovation happens with
yeah,
collaborate. And we just did a photo shoot to sell all of these things in our website
yeah,
that
yeah,
you guys helped us with to improve the security of the data logger.
yeah. That's because you think in real life situations, what's going to be the best, and we wanted to protect it a little bit better, and that's kind of what we came up with. But yeah, you know, it's out
Nice.
there. So hopefully you guys can help other people with it.
Well, high marks to Fort Wayne being the innovator in the state and in the country as far as we're concerned. You guys
Yeah,
have done a great job.
Yeah. Thank
truly
you.
supportive. Yeah.
So, did we miss anything, Brad? Anything else that you can add, Suzanne? Any other thoughts or questions before we turn it over to the floor?
Well, before we hopped on online, Brad and I were talking about the fact that he had gotten his drone license and they were thinking about using drones for inspection and stuff like that. So I
Hmm.
thought that was pretty interesting. I'd love to hear a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So a couple of years ago, my the manager of our department, he pushed us to get certified for this, and we're just looking at different ways now. All technology, the sensors and any technology that's out there that can help improve our job or reduce redundancies. If we can do it quicker, and that's a big thing too, because do more with less, right? So we don't know where it's going to take us at this point, but we're looking into that as well. We're also looking into some other stuff with Purdue on rating roads and whatnot, looking at defects and things like that. So my the director of public works and my manager of our department is really pushing technology and how we can implement it into our daily work lives. So,
Very cool. Very cool. Love to see the technologies being used. That's great.
yeah.
Yeah. So Brad, thank you very much for your time today. Suzanne, any questions from the field at all that have come up?
Uh, well, there was one on how you have a degree in architectural engineering from Purdue, and the people would love to understand how that plays into your current job and how you got to your current job from starting out there.
Yeah. So right out of college, I got a job as an estimator with Menards and worked up through the chains there. You go to college and they they get you ready. You think you know it all, and then you get your first job and you realize you know nothing. But anyways, I worked up my way through the ladder there. I became a um, salesperson, and then I became the department manager of the contractor sales. And I worked there for 12 years and did a lot of with the residential community and smaller buildings. And then after that, I decided to move on. I went to a company called New Millennium, and they do steel joists and deck. And I worked on some very large projects all over the nation on those. And I was kind of looking for a job, applied with the city. Then at the time didn't feel like it really, the pay wasn't where I wanted it. A year and a half goes by or whatnot. I get another email from them. They really want me to come work for them, and I decided to come work for them. So I've seen a lot of different things, and this kind of makes it come full circle, really, in the building industry. So.
Yeah, that's. I mean, you've really entrenched yourself in that, and you can tell that you like what you do because you're helping us innovate. So, on
Yeah.
the topic of innovation, since I oversee marketing here at Wavelogix, how is the best way, in your mind, for us to communicate with all these municipalities? We're starting here in Indiana. Feel like we have a strong foothold in Indiana, but how do you reach these people, and what's the best messaging that's really going to trigger some, and what triggered you guys, and how do we trigger it with others? I'm really interested in your input in that.
Yeah, I think so. For our size, we're not a huge city, we're not a small city, but there are a lot of cities out there that don't have inspection. And this would be a really good way for them to kind of see what's going on without hiring inspection. If they didn't want it, they could deploy these themselves possibly. But yeah, I mean, and then things happen. Maybe they do have inspection, but the engineer can't make it or whatnot. You can put one of these in, at least you would have something. So
Okay. So
Yeah,
kind of from the
that's a good way
inspection
to.
perspective.
yeah, and like I said, just you got to look at the impact it could have on the citizens and the community, and it is a cost, but I think it would be well received from the citizens if they knew that they could speed things up and it could help them get in their driveway faster or whatnot. I think it would be well received. They would actually like it. I do think that. So.
Mhm.
Very
Yeah,
cool.
very nice.
Well, I think that's all the questions we have today. But I did want to say a really big thank you to you, Brad, for sharing your expertise and insights today. It's inspiring to hear how Fort Wayne is tackling the same challenges that so many other municipalities have and finding faster and better ways to serve their residents. And Joe, thanks for helping us connect the dots on how innovation like Rebel sensors are changing the way cities approach quality control and project delivery. And most importantly, thanks to everyone who joined us today. We know your time is valuable, and we're glad you shared it with us. Um, and we'll be sending out all of the slide decks and everything to everyone that registered. So, Joe, do you have anything else you'd like to say?
No, that's it. Just highlight that again. Brad, thank you. It's a lot of fun working with you and your
Yeah,
team, and we really appreciate it. So thanks again. So
thank you.
Okay.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. See you next month.